Hello, and welcome to the Aerosoft F-14 AI menu overview. In this video, we'll cover the basic menu interaction and what you can expect from each selection. When initialized, you'll see three broad categories of interaction: a random scenario generator, specific scenarios, and vectors to home. Before going into the menu, a few basic concepts about the scenarios. First, these scenarios will work for both TACPack and non-TACPack users, but TACPack users will see a bit of added functionality. Next, the scenarios are intended to be used in a naval setting, and it is required that you have either a moving or a static carrier within 50 nautical miles of the F-14. A piece of good news is that we will be including 11 carrier tracks for the USS Kitty Hawk, as well as 25 saved flights that will let you load the simulation on the deck of a moving carrier. Loading any of these flights will meet all the requirements for the AI menu to function properly, but you can also use a program such as AI Carriers to place the Kitty Hawk in a new location. Moving on to the menu function. The first item to note is that there are two broad operating modes for the scenarios generated. If you are sitting on a carrier deck when initializing a scenario, the gauge will be simulating a ready alert state, and the target aircraft will spawn within 60 seconds. If you are in the air, the gauge will be simulating a combat air patrol, and target aircraft will spawn 10 to 30 minutes after being called from the menu. Within the menu itself, we'll first highlight a series of specific scenarios involving either the Su-27 Flanker or the Tu-95 Bear. Before diving in, our big thanks go out to the developers of these aircraft. The Bear was donated to the project by SamDim Design and the Flanker by ALS Sim. The websites for these developers can be found in the comments in this video. The specific scenarios involving the Bear and the Flanker are great for practice and will generate either a single ship or a two-ship group that will attempt to overfly the Kitty Hawk. Once generated, you will be given vectors and must perform a radar intercept before they reach the carrier. When you appropriately intimidate an AI pilot, they will turn back and head home. Every AI pilot has a randomly generated personality, and the tactics needed will change depending on the airframe presented. Flankers will fly much faster than the Bear, and aggressive maneuvering could very well escalate the situation. In reality, the cost of hardware and loss of life are high, and most fighter aircraft head home pretty quickly after being detected. Sticking to the history of the F-14, it is not the objective to turn this into a combat situation or a furball. Translated to the AI scenarios, the flankers will knock it off and return home when either a non-TACPack user has obtained a missile lock within a specific range, or when a TACPack user has obtained a firing solution. It is important to note that the distance at which the AI pilot becomes intimidated is determined by the aggressiveness of the randomly generated AI personality. Some pilots will bug out at 30 nautical miles, while others you'll need to be inside 10. Bears, on the other hand, are slower and will be easier to intercept. However, due to their mission and the fact that they normally travel unarmed, they are more likely to press their situation and will frequently ignore missile locks, requiring more direct methods of persuasion to disengage. High-speed, close-quarter passes at speeds greater than Mach 1.6 will shake their nerves, as well as flying close quarters directly in front of the aircraft to disrupt the airflow. It's also worth noting that these tactics were developed with feedback from former Tomcat drivers. Another specific scenario is the escort. This scenario will simulate a friendly aircraft moving through the carrier's airspace that has requested protection along the way. Every once in a while, one or two flankers will make an appearance. The last specific scenario is the tanker, which can be called any time on demand. The tanker used is the KA-6 Intruder, which has been generously donated by Razbam Simulations. Our sincere thanks goes out to their talented development group. The next major function of the AI menu are vectors back to the carrier. Some of the intercept and escort missions can take you well over 100 nautical miles away from the carrier, and at that point, FSX loses track of the ship. This makes navigation fairly precarious, so our gauge keeps track of the carrier's position and will guide you home. The last and deepest function of the menu is carrier airspace patrol. This fully randomizes the specific scenarios mentioned previously and adds a new one, the wandering pilot. In the wandering pilot scenario, one of 4 aircraft ranging from a de Havilland Twin Otter all the way up to an Airbus will cross over into the carrier's airspace. However, unlike previous scenarios, you will not know which scenario is active unless it's escort, and you will not know the type of aircraft. This means generated aircraft will enter as bogeys, and it's your job to intercept, identify bandit or friendly, and maintain control of the airspace. With the overview complete, we'll call a pair of flankers and practice a radar intercept. Things will move fairly quickly, so this video will serve more as a demonstration than a how-to for the F-14 systems.